Hi, this week on the AI in Sales podcast, I speak with Amit Bendov, who is a serial company builder in the technology space. His new venture, Gong.io, is already creating a buzz in the AI conversation arena. Gong.io has developed a revenue intelligence platform that transforms conversations into currency. How? The system captures conversations from your text, your emails, your telephone calls, your social media interactions, your webinars, takes that information, mines that data, and creates insights or extracts insights that you'll be able to use in your sales conversation. As Amit likes to talk about, we're moving away from anecdotal information towards data-driven information. In other words, it's scientifically based and it's going to be highly actionable. I also talked to Amit about Gong.io, philosophy towards marketing and branding. This company really stands out in how different they are approaching the market in their look, their feel, and if you go to their website, you'll know what I'm talking about. Lastly, Amit talks about some of the current pitfalls in selling, all the while dropping some nuggets throughout the conversation, some do's and some don'ts. Now, Amit had to get off the conversation very quickly at the end, so it's an abrupt ending, but in between the beginning and the end, there's a lot of great stuff that I want to share with you. Let's jump into it. Let me begin this conversation with, give me the history. First of all, give me a little bit of background of who you are, and then just kind of cruise into Gong.io.
Okay, so Gong is the fourth company that I'm leading. I started my career in tech at a company called Click Software that was recently sold to Salesforce for I think like 1.3 billion. I'm one of the founding team member, and I started in Israel, but then moved to the US and worked there for a while. Built the North American team. Moved back to Israel, joined a company called Panaya in the ERP SaaS space. As a CMO, and then I took a CEO role at a company called Saine in the business intelligence space, and all of these have been very successful companies, and that's where I got the idea for Gong, which I'm very excited about, obviously.
One of the things I have to add, you just mentioned you were CMO. One of the first things I noticed when I came across Gong, this is I would say maybe about a year ago, is that there's a certain ethos to your company. Because it doesn't look like, for example, a standard website. So if you're listening to this podcast, go to gong.io and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Talk to me about, because it's a very non-corporate feel. And, I watched one of your videos. Everybody's introducing themselves, walking through the office, and it was very powerful, very captivating. So although we're going to talk about AI in just a bit, give me your reason or thinking behind this branding that you've come up with.
First, I have a good partner in crime, our CMO, Diletagor. We work together for 3 companies, and we like creating a little bit of a havoc in the market. Most people like to play it safe, so they come up with stuff that people find agreeable. They get a committee, just look, should be round, should be blue. And the one risk that you're taking is not being known about. Right, so you got to stand out, and a good marketing is very polarizing. We had a lot of people who says that our website doesn't look good, and that's great. And you want something to polarize people. If you know that you have haters, the name Gone, people said, oh, it's bad, it's negative, right? So if you look at a lot of the great companies like Virgin, who would name an airline Virgin?
Correct. Good point.
It's crazy, but that's what polarizes people. That's what gets attention. So the real risk that you're running, because there are a lot of technology companies out there, is being ignored, right? And we're not afraid of taking risks because risky is safe and safe is risky, if you know what I mean.
I do. It's funny because your whole website, the whole look, the whole feel, it's almost like a giant pattern interrupt. Because you're like, what is this? What am I looking at? But one of the things I enjoy, and maybe you want to, let's step in this a little bit, is that some of your reports that come out, some of the data that you share, some of the information on your website, it's one of the most content-rich websites I've come across, and it's not pretentious. Talk to me about the content, again, really some of the stuff that you're sharing in the market today.
So this is not coincidence. It is very strategic to us. And we that was part of our strategy all along. So first, our value proposition is using reality, not opinions. So when we started, there are still like over 10,000 books on how to sell. But these are all what people think. Very little is based on facts. And when sales leader coach their team is based on their past experience, which may or may not be relevant to their current company or definitely to the way that the situation of their current company. So we wanted to show facts. People, like, for example, were obsessed with filler words like ums and ums and like, right? And managers sometimes would drive people nuts with what they're saying. We actually found that they have zero impact on actual selling. So just, you're focusing on the wrong thing. So we published that. That was like very popular. And so opinions versus reality is our core value proposition. And that's what we provide. And second, what we found, like Udi and I in past companies, that people don't like with like thought leadership. People want something that's like valuable, that is concise, that is immediately applicable to what they do. They can use it today and is easy to consume.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're trying to do. Just quick, tell me something I didn't know that I could apply today, either me or my team. And I don't want to read like 13 pages. That's like what we're so popular. So it's data that people have not seen before. It is different, it's valuable, and it's easy to consume.
And so to frame the conversation, because we jumped right into the spirit, the core of what is Gong.io. And so to frame it to the listeners is that you have an intelligence platform basically that analyzes conversations. And within those conversations, you're mining that data for, as you say, some real hard facts. And I think your mantra on your website, I saw, was goodbye opinions, hello reality. Because I think what you say is so powerful in the sense that there's so many anecdotal information out, so much anecdotal information out there, opinions, and some of it's very old. I mean, some of it goes back 20, 30 years ago. And so your conversations, after being analyzed, really, again, extract a lot of different insights that people can use. And I think, to combine both things, it's like it's scientifically based, but it's highly actionable. That's what I found about your data. Talk to me about the type of companies that, have used your platform and, walk people through the process. Here's a company, this is the problem, here's how they use the platform, here's what they found.
So we're going really fast, and we're kind of like scratching our eyes to see like how many companies are adopting the technology. Like it's beyond our dreams. I mean, we obviously believe that this is going to be good, but you never know how good. So today, I think there are about 800 companies using the product, anywhere from small startups with like 2 guys and a dog in a garage to large companies with like thousands of people in customer-facing roles. Most companies would use it to capture the conversation. So Gong taps into your email system and starts reading the emails with customers, taps into your phone system, your Zoom meetings or WebEx meetings, and captures pretty much everything that is communicated with the customers and extracts information out of that. That information is used in 3 key areas. We call them like people intelligence, deal intelligence, and strategy intelligence. The conversation itself aren't super interesting because nobody is like, has this like sense of voyeurism and just want to listen to calls, right? They want to use it for specific areas. So people intelligence, if you look at the conversations and you start understand what's happening on those, and you start understanding which conversations are ending in a successful outcome. It means either that the people are doing very well, that the reps, or that the deals are closing. You can start getting into conclusions like, how can I improve the company as a whole? For example, one of our customers is selling a point of sale equipment to SMBs, and Gong recommended that they talk about their hardware component before the software component, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't remember. Okay. Now, and that increased win rate by 15%, 1.5. Just these small chains flipping the order. Now, do you know what the crazy part is? Gong doesn't even understand what hardware is or what software is. It doesn't understand our business. It's just like using AI to understand that these are the patterns that are successful. Mm-hmm. Just like AI can beat the world champion in chess.
Correct.
Without even understanding the rules. Just running all the possibility and seeing the data. So people intelligence. The second part is because Gong tracks the conversations, it can start showing which deals are going to close and which deals aren't. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if I see an email from a customer that is saying, I think we may need to put this project on hold, right? Or the customer is not responding at all, then you know that this deal isn't on track. I mean, you might be able to save it, but it's definitely not on track. Versus just relying on the very little information that is in the CRM. And the third part is more like strategic insights that if you're launching a new product, you invest a lot in building a new product, you're counting it to make a difference in the market, you've trained your team, but you don't know if they're talking about it, if they're doing it right, and if the market is excited about your new product. Gong can start tracking those conversations and gives you like a near real-time picture of how your new product is progressing in the market.
That's fascinating. One of the studies I read, a couple of studies I read, it's, like I said, your site's very addictive because it's, again, very tangible information you can use. And I saw one study where they talk about mentioning the competitor. If the company you're presenting to mentions your competitor within the first 10 minutes, it allows you to adjust your strategy. Talk a little bit about that, because I want people to kind of get a sense that this is real, tangible content intelligence that you can use.
Right. I mean, that's definitely a great one. Most people are kind of spooked by the competitor. Oh, a deal is in trouble if they mention a competitor. Actually, that's not a bad thing. If they do talk about it, there's good chances that they're serious. Actually, if they're looking at several alternatives, it means that they're seriously considering buying either you or a competitor. So that's actually not bad. It means that they may have a budgeted project and now you just need to differentiate versus create the business case. And second, being early is good because now you could kind of like plan the conversation in a way. A competitor that gets towards the end of the deal is actually may or may not be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you start adding some of this stuff up, and I think I want people who are in sales or are trying to scale their business to understand that it's a game of inches all the time in this business, right? And so first of all, you talk about sequence, talk about the hardware and then the software, whatever the sequence. So that's sequencing. When they mention a competitor, here's kind of what you do. Here's the mind shift. So that's another one. I think another one I saw, which was interesting, kind of supported the challenger sale a little bit, that when they looked at conversations, the salesperson actually did most of the talking, actually talked a little bit more than the actual customer, which is totally contradictory to what we often hear, right? Let the customer talk. Talk to me about that one just a little bit, because I thought that was another paradigm shift.
I was about to say that, again, this is like opinions versus reality, and your reality is different. So, and again, we always caution people, what we publish, obviously, by nature is like across like a number of companies. But it is very possible that your company is different. Maybe you're selling like a very technical product. It does require a little more talking, or maybe you need more questioning. You're selling to a diverse set of buyers. And even what you do, what works well for you today may not be the best thing to do 6 months from now, because your competitors change, or maybe your pricing has changed and you need a different motion. You're selling to different kind of buyers. So you need to analyze constantly what's right for your company and what's for your company at the time. And sometimes by team and product, there is no generality. Something is like generally true. Generally, it's true that listening carefully is a good idea.
Yeah.
Right? What's the percentage of talk versus listen? That could vary. I mean, if you want to know across the board, it's 46%. I mean, that's the average. But it doesn't mean that for your company, it can't be 55.
Sure. It can vary. It can vary. And so if you're, one of the things I like about your company, I think it can help small business owners, small, medium-sized businesses. And so walk me through, because I want, again, listeners to understand this, because there's a lot going on under the hood. I get that, right? We can get deep into AI algorithms, all those beautiful things, predictive analytics, propensity to buy, and all that. But let's kind of zoom out a little bit and say that I am a small, medium-sized company, because people hear this technology and they're like, that's not for me. That's not for me. I don't want to hire 20 quants, scientists in the background, whatever it may be. Give me an idea of what is, the ideal client profile, somebody who should be using this. And I know that varies, but maybe kind of give me a flavor of who should be using this technology or leveraging it that's not doing it today.
So first, we sell mostly to companies that are in B2B sales in North America. We have some international customers. We have some B2C customers that mostly sales, mostly for both in sales, but we also have customers. Usually we start with the sales team, and then customers roll it out also to sales development reps, and also to customer success and customer support. But our entry point, we should be the sales team where there's like more complex, higher value conversations. We've known all along, because I came trying to scratch an itch that I had, that I wasn't understanding what's going on, and I wanted technology to give you that visibility. We knew that our audience is going to be pretty tough. It's very difficult to get salespeople to adopt anything, right? Whether it's like e-signature proposals or new commission app or whatever. So Elon and I, my co-founder, when we thought about the company, we knew that this is going to be a challenge. If we need to get people to change the process, that's going to be a hard sell. We're going to get low adoption. So we said, how can we do it in a way that nobody needs to do anything? Just you turn on the software and it just works. That was true like 4 years ago. It still is our mantra. You don't do nothing. You don't lift a finger, right? So to give you an example, we thought, okay, maybe we'll teach the reps to say all kind of like markers similar to Alexa and Siri. Hey, start of next step, or hey, Gong, action item. Or hey, Gong, pricing conversation. But we knew that we didn't want to do that, right? Because it requires training, it requires people to take some action, and that's going to be an uphill battle. So we've built it for people that don't have any data scientists, aren't going to do anything that you ask them. We imagine like the most cynical personas with very short attention span. Right?
That's a good place to start. It's a good place to start.
And that's the model. So it still is. You pretty much turn it on. Gong starts tracking all kinds of things without you having to learn keywords, without you having to learn how to book meetings or anything. It just works. That's what gets such high scores for my users.
Talk to me about the integration with CRMs today. How does that work?
So we have a two-way integration. So first, Gong will pull a lot of information for the CRM. So if right now we're having a Zoom call, for example, and you see, okay, Victor Antonio, he's a lead in my CRM, and it'll match to the record, right? And if there's an active opportunity, it'll match to the opportunity. So all that context is being pulled from the CRM and matched together with the conversation, whether it's being an email or a call or a video meeting. And in the other direction, Gong will pull a lot of information, or will push a lot of information back into the CRM system. For example, if we've discussed pricing or competitors, that will populate fields in your CRM system extracted from the conversations in near real time without the rep having to do anything. Right? So that's super valuable. And it's information that doesn't exist anywhere. I mean, most CRM forms would have, for example, competitors mentioned, but nobody puts the information in. If they put it in, it's incomplete and often wrong.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're removing a lot of the anecdotal opinion, blink type of information where I think it's going to go, and it's more objective. And I don't know if you can answer this question, but do companies are they now beginning to see this type of data that you're accumulating through all these different conversations, whether email, live, voice, whatever it may be? Are they beginning to finally see this as an asset? Like this is real data. It's an asset. Do you get that feeling?
Absolutely. Gong, even though it's new, it's now considered a must-have for everybody that uses it, and almost nobody turns it off. Like without it, you don't know where you're going, where you're flying. You're flying blind. You're relying on opinions of what the customer-facing people are bothering to put in a CRM system, which isn't a whole lot. And now you get like totally unfiltered reality in near real time, which is like, you'd be crazy to run a business without it.
I agree with you. I agree. I think, one of the data points I saw out there, and I want you to comment to this as we begin to wrap this up, is that, I think it was like 3 to 5% of conversations that happen face to face with a customer, 3 to 5% of that data actually makes it into the CRM. And so how can, if the customer's listening to this right now, potential client says, well, how can I get that data? Because that's some important data also. What are some remedies for that?
Well, everything. So we also record, we capture everything, all the emails, all the video recordings, all the audio recordings. So if we didn't have Gong on a call or on an email, then, you'd probably go back and write, oh, it was a great interview with Amit, guy, right? I mean, just a few words. But, we spoke about a ton of stuff. You just don't have time to put it in. But Gong would link the actual conversation to the records, and then they're all searchable, right? So you could say, oh, pricing, and then it'll tell you like what we said about pricing. So not a bit is lost, right? That's
correct.
Powerful. It's like infinite memory. Think of it like a bionic ear.
Yeah, that's funny. So as we're pulling all this data together, I mentioned something about propensity to buy, right? Because one of the things we're trying to do is anticipate which deals are closer to closing, especially if you're trying to hit a number at the end of the quarter. Talk to me about how Gong can help me with my propensity to buy and refocusing my sales team.
Well, I think one of the problems of salespeople that if they're new, they tend to have happy ears. Right? If someone tells them they're interested, they're excited, they create an opportunity, then they never know why that doesn't close. And the veterans sometimes, and it's not derogatory, we tend to have lazy ears, right? We cherry pick. If the customer is in a sweet spot and with enough, we might not get very excited about it. But with Gong, multiple people can chime in and see if this is a qualified deal or not, and score and see if it's worth pursuing or not. It's very easy. Use the power of the team.
Yeah. Is Gong now incorporating a lot of sentiment analysis within their conference, actually trying to extract some of that? If so, talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, there is sentiment. I wouldn't say this is like the most thing that people, think about sentiment mostly in the consumer B2C apps where people, want to like curse the cable company or the phone. Right? In B2B, it's much harder. Like there's not a lot of sentiment, or there's a lot less. I mean, we're all sentimental creatures, but it's pretty laid back. Even like when people say difficult things, they don't usually raise their voice or things. But there are certain things that you can capture, like mainly based on a text more than the tone itself.
Got it. And last question, where do you see this going? I mean, let's fast forward this, Amit. 5 years from now, what's Gong going to look like? What's Gong aiming at?
Well, our aim is to help companies manage based on reality and get away from the opinion-based manual data entry world that we're seeing today and then for the last 30 years. So what we want to build, we want to make CRM autonomous, right? That you take customer-facing people, you take the burden of updating records away from them, and then like all of a sudden, everybody knows everything without anybody having to do anything. That's a pretty powerful concept. You just tap directly into the conversations, and then you give the leadership team the information that they need to know, but also the customer-facing people can get better without having to lift a finger.
I love it. No, by the way, it's a great dream. The more effortless you can make it, the better. One more question I lied. It's just because you prompted me in your statement. So, you have a marketing background. So tie the two together for me, or tie all three: sales, marketing, Gong intelligence, revenue intelligence. Tie those three for me from a marketing standpoint. How does that change how we market?
Well, I think the most important thing that I would say here is, first, it creates alignment, right? Because marketing is generating leads, and there's often like contention. Oh, the leads aren't good. Now everybody can monitor the conversation. There's no disagreement on what's happening. Just what are we doing about it? So it creates like a much stronger alignment. And then there are applications for the conversation themselves, because as a marketeer, you want to use the words that the customers are using, not your, we say revenue intelligence, right? Most people have no idea in the world what revenue intelligence is, right? Right now, it's still more of a slogan, but how do people think about your product, your company, or the category? And you can mine the conversation for keywords and ideas that you can use in your advertising and promotions.
I like it. So it's almost like, again, data, voice of the customer with real data to back it up.
Victor, I'm so sorry. I got to jump. I got to hire one more person on the team, and I'm late for an interview. Later. Thank you so much. Great talking with you.
Stay here. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Victor Antonio. I'm an author, sales trainer, and keynote speaker. I'm often asked, what makes a great speaker? Is it someone who delivers real content that the audience can use? Is it someone who engages the audience so they're part of the learning experience? Or is it someone who can motivate an audience to push them beyond their comfort zone and discover new abilities? The answer is yes. But the most important thing to remember is that I'm not there to look good. I'm there to make my client look good. Simply put, it's never about me, and it's always about them.